But then sacrificing one, you could be, I don't know, a bigger businessman, but then it's at a cost. So that cost, if you're not happy, you're not content, and there's always a gap, I don't think it's a successful mind. Yeah.
So did you ever, while you were growing your business, how did you strike that balance? I mean, a lot of leaders feel that the demands of business pull them away from their family. They feel that I was never really much there to see my children grow up. Some people have, some men especially, have that regret. Is that a regret that you have? Do you think you were a present father and a present husband?
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think during my work, I'd drop my children to school.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd get up 7 in the morning, I'd drop them to school and go to my office.
So very hands-on dad.
Yeah, I was there for them. And I'm very proud that my children grew with me. And, I could share the happiness all the time. The wife, for a long period of time, of course, she's not involved in business. Eventually, she got involved into the business as well. So we turned out to be a pretty much business family. And as a family, I think we are a group ourselves, the 5 or 6 of us. And we go out on holidays together, and we don't need anybody else, really.
Okay. You all keep yourself sufficiently entertained.
Absolutely.
So, since we're speaking about your family, here's another award you received from the former president of India, Dr. Abdul Kalam. And this, I believe, is at your daughter's wedding reception, correct? This photograph?
Oh,
where you're
right.
with the former
Musharraf.
Pakistani premier,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And this is, I think that's your son Adnan when he was much younger in that photo.
Yeah,
so
just
here
take
you
it
go.
back. Take it back, one picture
One
back.
here, this one?
That was very special for me.
Why?
Because that's Adnan and that's me.
Yes.
And the bonding we have, Adnan is here. And one of the greatest satisfaction of a father is to play with the son, competitive level, in the same team. And that picture, he actually was the best bowler of the tournament.
He was, okay.
Yeah, he won the best bowler, and I won the, I think, man of the tournament. So we actually performed to make the team win.
Okay.
So we're more like friends than playing together.
Now your family, that's your beautiful wife, Farha,
Yeah.
and your kids. There's Adnan and his 2 sisters, Nida and Sania.
Nida, Sania, yes.
Nida and Sania. Tell me about your wife. How did you meet her? Is there a story there? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think my wife is more than meeting. I was born with the thought that I'm going to marry her. Because one of those things you probably hear in the movies or whatever, that my dad and her dad actually agreed that these two will be married to each other. So that's my case.
So you knew her when you were growing up?
Well, I think it was, of course, she lived in Hyderabad and I was in Kurnool. And so it so happened that as we were growing up, I had this notion, we knew that this is the girl picked for you. But then, okay, it's more of a talk. Then she became my dream girl, actually. Because Farha, the city girl, convent educated, good English, very sophisticated, me, a town boy, living in Kurnool. So for me, it's like, wow, can I get this woman to be my wife?
Okay, but you're a man up for a challenge, which we already know this because of your competitive spirit, so...
Yeah, for me, yes, it's my dream, but she had to say yes.
She had to say yes.
She hadn't said yes to me.
So how did you get her to say yes?
Yeah, I remember because that was the time when, before I went to Dubai, and so I was supposed to go to the U.S. and for my education and all that. So, for parents being parents and said, look, this guy is going, so we need to take a commitment. Then they came to me and said, look, are you ready? Are you ready to get engaged? I said, yes, I've been waiting, but she has to say yes. Have you asked her?
Okay.
And then the next thing I hear was she was actually crying. I said, then there's a problem, because maybe she doesn't want me. And eventually it turned out that, she actually wanted me as well. So
Okay, so did you ask her? She said yes, and you
she
got
said
engaged
yes, and I actually got engaged to her before I came to Dubai.
before. Okay. Well, what was her reaction then with you saying no to award and all of those things? You were engaged at this point, I understand.
No, we talked later because, of course, then my courting started after
After, okay.
engagement. So, of course, we talked, and then she said, yeah. And she was of the same opinion. Look, she thought I was a bit stylish and whatever, and whether I'm going to accept her. She was a simple girl. In the end, she's a very simple girl. So she thought, I don't know, you'll accept me or not. So we both had our doubts whether we'll accept each other. Then it turned out that, so.
What does she think is, where does she think what does she think is one of your weaknesses, would you say? I mean, if there's anybody who knows you incredibly well, I imagine it's your wife. What would she say is perhaps a weakness or somewhere where you're lacking? I mean, either as an individual or in business, because she is shoulder to shoulder with you in the company. What do you think she would say?
That's a tough one. I think most probably she thinks I'm too quick in my decisions. She's hold on, wait, think, and act type. Me, let's do it.
You're a little more impulsive and she's
Very
a little
impulsive.
more methodical.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, extremely impulsive. So for me, a thought comes, I need to do it. It disturbs me. I keep thinking about it, I have to do it. But then she's the one who said, wait, think. I think.
So you balance each other out then in that
absolutely,
sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And when did she join the company? What has that been like, I think, having your spouse with you within the company? Because I imagine couples will have their innumerable things to, butt heads about. And when you're in business, you will butt heads with people you work with. What has that been like? Have there been points of friction?
No, I mean, more than friction. She actually joined when MULK Holdings started, when Alubond came in. So almost about 15 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And the need for her to came in when the company had grown to such a big size that it's taking too much of my time I was the signing authority on the checks. So just like hundreds of checks every day. And so that was a time waster for me. And then also I needed somebody who I can trust and she's good at that. She's good at checking and admin and paperwork and all that. So she came in as a signing authority to start off. And then it so happened that she got into the business, she liked the business, went into the admin. So till today, she spent more time in office than me as it goes now, actually.
Okay. And now I understand, your son Adnan is also part of the company as a vice chairman.
Yes.
Was that your dream for him? Did you see him eventually joining you, or did you leave it up to him to decide the path that he wanted to take?
Well, he's here. And no, I think we've had a very open discussion on exactly what he wants to do. Because he came back from his education in the UK about 3 years back. And we had this discussion about whether he needs to join us or he needs to join another company where he'll probably have more discipline and not be treated as a boss, and you do your regular 8 to 5 job or whatever. But then again, he was clear about what he wants to do. So he gave me 2 choices basically.
He gave you 2 choices, okay.
Give me 2 choices. He said, okay, either give me $500,000 to invest and I want to do something on my own, or give me one of your small companies or your smallest company and let me do something with it. So in the group, so we decided, okay, fine. The plastics was our smallest company when he took over. And he took that company and he's turned it around amazingly well. I think now the expansion is more than 700% since it's taken.
700%. Wow.
Yes.
Mm. But when you gave him that, did you ever have, and I know this because I know folks in family business, when they have their children come in, there's always something at the back of their mind. Maybe one part of it is, what if they fail? But another part of it is protecting their children from that failure. Did you ever have that concern that, gosh, what if this doesn't work?
No, absolutely not. Because if I look back at my own career and the number of failures and the number of, times I've fallen, and I'm sure he was much smarter than that. So what he was doing, he had his full
You
backing.
completely trusted him.
Totally, and I think it was all his, and even till today, he's very independent on his own thinking and his own business. So the food chain that we're talking about, he's handling it now.
Okay.
So,
But how is he different from you? I mean, there always are, I imagine there always will be different points of view. The young generation versus the older generation. Where do you see that happening?
I think he's more like his mother. Calculative, think, cool mind, and then, do after a lot of thought, basically. And that's what I see him. And
So far,
for me,
so great.
so we have a good balance. This is here, but we always have a joint decision now. Now, he's part of the thinking process, me, wife, and the son. Even the daughters sometimes get involved into some major decisions we need to take. And then it's more of a family decision making, basically.
So do you take work home then? Is that how it is? Or do you kind of have a clear line? When you're at work, you talk about work stuff. When you're home, you don't bring work back with you?
We try not to.
Try not to.
Try not to, but then being a business family, I think it's all about how it's going. But then there are times when we say, okay, all phones off, switched off, nobody touches the phone, family time, we sit down, we talk as a family, basically. So
what do you do to switch off? What do you do to relax? Are you still playing sports?
Myself?
Yes.
Sports, yes. I mean, not now for about a year. I'm not doing that much of sports. But then for me, friends is a fine way of relaxing. And then the family time is great. I do love to travel, so I travel a lot as well.
And with everything that you have now that you've built, what keeps you up at night? What worries you? As a self-made multi-billionaire, what worries you?
I think stage has come now is more than the worry. It's about an excitement of creating. I've always loved to create. So my passion, the diversification of MULK Holdings today is come out of wanting to create new businesses. So the worry and the excitement are both interlinked. So an idea comes up, so you're thinking, and you want to make it happen. So sometimes things go smooth, sometimes don't, and then that's where,
So you're always looking for something that excites you and that gets you charged and makes you, again, that desire to create, to innovate.
Yeah, I think create and also sell your idea. You need to sell your idea, right? I've always believed myself to be a salesman. I mean, that's the best thing I like to do. You sell your idea to your family, to your clients, to and then to yourself too.
Have you ever doubted yourself? Ever? Ever a moment of self-doubt?
Well, doubt in the sense of whether I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing, very seldom. Because it's all about backing yourself, backing your instinct, and going for it. Then also accepting the failures which come with it. Because it's not possible that you take 10 decisions, they're bound to be some wrong. And then as long as you can accept what the risk you take, because we always say, in a risk, you never lose. You either win or you get wise, basically. So that's how it goes. So, like my experiences, lost money, but gained some wisdom.
You learned, so you looked for the positive
Yeah.
out of that negative,
Yeah.
and then just kept moving,
Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I find interesting about your business and how you got to where you are is, as an entrepreneur, compared to a lot of, I think, entrepreneurs these days, a lot of people now who are thinking of becoming an entrepreneur are hungry, that they're searching for an idea. They're searching for a problem that they want to solve that they can then turn into a business. For example, you have an Uber. Uber started out to solve a problem, which is, I want to be able to push a button and get a ride on demand. You took, I want to say, perhaps the more traditional path to entrepreneurship. You became an industrialist. you got into a number of different industries. Is that something that someone who is looking to be an entrepreneur can still do? Is that opportunity still there to become an entrepreneur?
Can you repeat that? I think I missed your main point here.
So what I'm saying is a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs today are searching for an idea. They're passionate about, let me come up with some idea that will change the world.
The new entrepreneurs.
New entrepreneurs, exactly. The new wave of entrepreneurship. Whereas the path to entrepreneurship you took is more traditional, which is you invest in different industries, you build them to a certain kind of scale, as you have been doing through a number of sectors. Is that opportunity still there for someone? If someone wants to become an entrepreneur that way, is there opportunity still there?
No, I'd like to correct you there. Even back in the times that we started Alubond, it was a risk, it was a trend. You see a trend. Today, technologies evolve. So the opportunity to understand technology and trend is what makes an entrepreneur. And when we brought in the Alubond, it is just one new material where the building is supposed to be looking modern. But then it's not very popular. UAE had not seen the cladding. They did not know about the material. It was, it was
new, so you were a first mover.
We were the first mover. So that's one way of looking at it. But then, you see, we've also gone the other side, take the solar energy. We really invested in innovation there, basically. So that's another kind of entrepreneurship. When you say we invested in innovation, there was an American scientist, Melvin Pruitt, who invented the first time a metal mirror. If you think about mirror, I think most of you people would think it's glass, right? Mirror is glass, basically. But then Melvin Pruitt invented mirror to be on aluminium, metal, basically. But what he did was he did it on a very thin film, just on a plastic film. Because in the end, technologically, mirror is a coating behind glass. So Melvin came to us because his film wasn't really good enough for solar mirrors. He came to us in a US office and said, can you guys develop a panel for me? So we invested and actually developed the first solar mirror in metal. And that changed the entire, and that formed the solar business for us, basically.
Okay.
So it's also understanding technology and getting involved into it and taking, turning that into a business commercial module.
So then on that point, Alubond, building cladding, now where do you see MULK Holdings faring when you have other technologies entering the space? For example, you have 3D printing. There are new ways coming up of creating structures. How do you see yourself, responding to those kinds of development, that kind of phenomena?
Well, we need to move ahead. We need to embrace the technologies, and then it's all about finding application for the new technologies, basically. For us, of course, the 3D printing is more for builders and construction companies, and also maybe perhaps some parts manufacturers, which are really useful. If you're not a building company, but then we're looking actually at 3D from a different perspective.
Tell me more about that.
I think what we're looking at now, as you're talking, my team is talking to the Chinese. The Chinese are the inventors of the 3D technology now. So we're actually talking to have some kind of ready-made facade panels, the frame itself, where imagine a building, because we do facades. Now we're looking at options now where all you need is just having a whole tower, just slabs and your pillars, and we can come in and boom, put the whole facade with the wall as one piece. And that's possible in the 3D, with the cladding. The cladding, the wall, everything together, all in the factory. So all you do is come in, the whole piece, floor, one piece, boom.
And you see yourselves as you're moving.
We're working on that.
You will be doing that.
We're working on that. Yeah.
Okay, how do you stay, on top of these kinds of, developments, trends, so that you're always, like you said, first movers have an advantage, typically in an industry. How do you always make sure that you're ahead of the others, ahead of the rest?
Well, I think one is being interested. You need to have the interest and the knowledge to keep with the modern trends. And then, of course, we are lucky today because we are really well spread globally and we have reach. So wherever, whether it's Europe or Africa or China, so the team is available to make the, the transition and the things happen. So yes, the interest first comes from being aware of what is needed and how you embrace the new technologies. And then from there you move on and, actually make it happen, basically.
Okay. Well, I think now I would like to bring in our audience into the discussion. Do we have any questions in the audience today?
Hi, my name is Dania, and my question to you is, can you give us an example of a challenge you had at work and how you